Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
In this video, we will be replacing the rear brakes on a 2015 Subaru Forester. If you need these parts or other parts for your vehicle, click the link in the description and head over to 1aauto.com. We'll take this wheel off. We're going to take a 19mm socket and a breaker bar. We're going to loosen these lug nuts before we take the vehicle and put it up in the air. So we'll take these lug nuts off. Now we'll pull the tire off. All right, now we'll take these two caliper bolts off. I'm going to use a 14mm wrench. Take these bolts off. Now I'm going to grab the caliper, twist it back and forth. I should be able to pull it out, just like that. Then I'm going to take a bungee cord, install one through one hole. I'm going to go around here, back side above the upper control arm, come around the back, and just have that sitting out of the way. Next I'm going to take these pads out, use a screwdriver to get underneath here. These ones are kind of stuck in there a little bit. Pry them out. A little tap, and then pry out the inboard ones, just like that. All right, now we're going to take this caliper bracket off. We're going to take these two 14mm bolts out. I'm going to use a 14mm socket and a ratchet. Pull that bolt out. We'll take the top bolt out and slide the bracket off towards the back of the vehicle. All right, to get the rotor off, I can take a hammer and hit all around here. We actually sell these hammers at 1aauto.com. But in addition to that, there's these two little holes that are threaded. You can find some bolts that thread into them. This will help you get it off a little bit. So we'll thread these on. I can take a ratchet and just snug these up a little bit. Just a little bit. You don't want to tighten it too much because it's just going to strip it. So if you do that, that just puts a little pressure on the rotor to make it come out a little bit. Then we'll take our hammer. We're going to hit all around here. Tighten these bolts up a little bit more. Now the rotor is loose enough to pull it off. All right, so we're going to clean up this caliper bracket. We'll use a little wire brush. Get in here, get all this corrosion and rust out. A lot of brake dust in here. I'll take a flat blade screwdriver. We'll pull this pad guide out. Under here. Pull that off. Set that aside. We'll take our wire brush again and just get in here. Clean that out. You can clean out some of the off the back, but it's generally not too bad. All right, so now we'll put this pad guide back in. Push that down. And we'll do the same for the other side. Next, we're going to pull out these caliper guide pins. We're going to spray these down with some brake parts cleaner and wipe them down with a rag. Those are nice and clean. And we can spray some brake parts cleaner down here. And then we'll take our rag and wipe it down. Pull that out, drain it out. And then we'll take some caliper grease. Coat the guide pin, and then we'll reinstall the guide pin. And then make sure that boot goes all the way around. And do the same for the other side. All right, so now I'm going to take a wire brush and we're going to clean up the hub area. Get it all in here. All in here. Just clean up some of the rust. We'll put the rotor on backwards for a second. We're going to take some brake parts cleaner, clean the back side of the rotor, and we'll wipe it down. There's a protective coating on the rotors. We want to get that protective coating off. That prevents them from rusting. And we'll flip it over. Do the same to this side. And wipe it off with a rag. We're going to take this old grommet out of the old rotor. We're going to transfer it to the new rotor. Stick that in. We'll take our caliper bracket, line that up on the rotor. Take our 2 bolts. Get those bolts started. Now we're going to torque these caliper bolts to 48 foot-pounds. We're using a 14mm socket and a torque wrench. You can get this torque wrench at 1aauto.com. Now we're going to install the brake pads. We're going to just use a little bit of brake grease on the ends of the brake pads and a little bit in the middle here. Don't get any on the friction material. We'll install that onto the caliper bracket, like that. We'll do the same for this one as well. Put that one on the inside. That's good. Now we'll take the bungee cord off the caliper. Flip it over. I'm going to take one of the old brake pads, slide it right there, and we'll take this brake caliper compressor tool and we'll compress the caliper. We sell these tools at 1aauto.com. And we'll compress the caliper so the piston is going back into the caliper. When the piston is doing this, this is sending brake fluid through the hoses, through the lines, back up to the master cylinder and into the brake reservoir. And because we did not take off the hose on the caliper, we do not have to bleed the system after we're done. So now we'll slide our piston over the brake pads, line that up, and we'll take our caliper bolts, slide these in here. I'm going to use a small extension for the top one because the brake hose gets in my way. Now throw up the tire. Stick the lug nuts on. All right, now we're going to torque these with a torque wrench in a star pattern with a 19mm socket and a torque wrench to 89 foot-pounds. The reason you want to do it in a star pattern is to get the wheel tightened evenly. All right, before we take the vehicle and take it for a ride, we're going to want to pump the brake pedal because what's happening is there's an air gap between the brake caliper piston and the brake pad. So when we pump the pedal, that's pushing fluid back down to the calipers and getting rid of that air gap. And the brake pedal, once the brake pedal feels good, then you're good to go.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at 1aauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.